Max Davis. Welcome to the Hill Climber Show.
It's in the right spot.
Thank you so much. Maybe push it a little bit. Yeah, a little bit closer.
Thanks for having me.
Listeners and viewers would have no idea, but Max literally just got off an airplane from New York City, has ridden his bike already.
That's not entirely true. I literally just got off a bicycle.
Right. Yes, sorry.
From an airplane.
That's to say he's already ridden in Austin and gotten a taste of it, and it's your first time to Texas.
Yeah. Amazing riding so far in the first 90 minutes.
Did you get some hills in? Or?
Oh, non-stop hills, up and down. I don't think we rode on a flat road.
That's what we have to offer. And also, the context here, and I always like to share how I meet guests, is Doug Zell, who's been on the show. Check out the interview with and I think you did actually listen to his interview. He founded Intelligentsia Coffee and is now doing the Meteor, which is a bunch of bike cafes that he owns. So they're cafes with bike shops attached, which is a pretty awesome concept. He texted me the other day and he's like, Max is flying into town. We're going to do a ride. So plan is to ride on Sunday, but I was very opportunistic and I asked Max to join us for the interview. So
yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, that brings us full circle. Yeah, I mean, I love to start just with the basics. You rep New York pretty hard, so would love for you to share just about your childhood and maybe a bit about like what your interests were as a kid early on. And
sure. Born in New York City, 1991.
In Manhattan, right?
In Manhattan.
Yep.
Gil, my business partner, tells everybody I was born in Central Park.
Right.
That's not entirely true, but
the legend has it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close to being true.
Right.
But yeah, I was born in New York City. My parents separated when I was pretty young, so I kind of split my time between New York and Connecticut, just within an hour north of the city with my mom, and my dad lived in Manhattan, and so I've been around there for pretty much my whole life.
Awesome. Especially with the kit makers I have on the show, I'm really curious about what their sort of early teenage interests were, like, as far as music, as far as culture. Yep. And by the way, New York being obviously an epicenter for culture, like what were you into as a kid?
I was 10 in the late 90s, early 2000s. So at the time, my sports heroes were Derek Jeter, Michael Jordan, and eventually Lance Armstrong. How I kind of discovered road cycling. In terms of music, I'm a massive music fan. I have 2 older siblings.
Okay,
I was basically listening to their music from a young age, which is pretty much 90s rock music.
Okay.
Jam bands.
All right.
Pearl Jam, Dave Matthews Band.
All right.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I haven't really shared much about my career on the show, but in a past life, Pearl Jam was one of my clients for like 6 or 7 years.
Don't tell
probably.
My sister that. She'll try to come find you.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I can't really pull any strings anymore because that was a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, they're still good live. Like,
yeah.
They got hits.
Yeah, I saw them like a year or 2 ago in the Garden. One of the nice things about New York is you can see any band you want, basically.
And Eddie Vedder, he's not messing around. Like, he's gonna come correct.
But personally, Dave Matthews Band is my band. Okay. Don't judge me. They're pretty good.
And I've never seen them live, but apparently
controversial, but
their live show is also amazing.
Yeah.
So speaking of controversial, you had shared with me how Lance Armstrong was like your hero back then.
Yep.
And I thought that was interesting because of all the conversations I have about cycling and asking how people get into it. It's usually the older folks, the older generation that had Lance as kind of their guy, their hero. So I rarely hear that from folks that are, in their 30s and their early 30s. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting call out. And by the way, I mean, not a lot of Americans get into cycling early. So that's a good segue. Like what's the story with you getting on a bike?
It certainly had a profound effect on me growing up because Lance was like right up there in terms of fame and popularity with Derek Jeter and Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods. He was
He was
you
a
know,
pop icon.
yeah,
I mean,
certainly, a living legend at that time. And so, if you turn the TV on in the U.S., you saw the Tour de France during those years.
right.
Being in Connecticut a bit, where it's super hilly, like growing up, I had this like Walmart clunky mountain bike that I like just loathed riding around because it was so heavy, and the roads are kind of similar to here, just like super punchy.
Right.
I didn't really ride in the woods. I was like 10, 11 years old, and so I turn the TV on, I see the Tour de France and an American on an American team just,
Right.
flying. And I was like, I want to ride like that.
Yeah.
And I also skied from a young age.
That's right.
So I started skiing when I was 3. So I was used to that kind of feeling of speed and being comfortable with that, which, that's
Not everyone is.
Not everybody is.
Yeah.
We can talk about that there for an hour. But from a very young age, I don't know if this is actually accurate, but I think my father kind of nudged me off the chairlift when I was pretty young.
Oh, yeah.
So I was already like,
You're like, I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm still alive.
Right.
And so, I saw these guys on TV, Discovery, the blue train, just like flying. And I was like, I got to get a bike like this.
They looked like pretty cool.
Yeah. They looked very cool.
Right.
The classic Oakley shades, like they were legit.
And that kit, that was like a badass
I
kit,
had
the
that
Postal
kit
Service
too.
kit.
I don't want to, I don't know if I should. I had the Discovery kit. Yeah, I got a super basic road bike, the smallest you could get from the bike shop, and just started riding, and I fell in love with it.
How old are we talking?
12.
Yeah, that's early.
And
so cool.
From where I was. I did not know that bike racing existed outside of the Tour de France on TV. I literally didn't know it was a thing.
Right.
Found a local bike club, and just, I guess my parents signed the waiver for me, and they were like, okay, you can ride with us. I was the youngest person there by like 20 or 30 years, but that's
how you get faster.
Yeah, that's certainly how you get faster, and how you learn to ride in a group, and the etiquette. So I was very fortunate to be exposed to that from a very young age, relatively. I think now it's more common there's certainly more resources, and later on I'd love to talk about a couple charities that we support and work with that are doing amazing things to promote cycling for young people. But at the time,
we talked about it wasn't an option.
It wasn't a thing. Yeah, it wasn't a thing.
No.
Like, none of my friends rode a road bike. They all thought I was weird, which I was. But
well, you were weird, yeah. I mean, like, by you're choosing this as opposed to alternatives.
Teenage years was playing other sports. Middle school, high school, was playing baseball. Went off to college. Pretty much stopped riding during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And after college, my brother had a road bike, and just randomly one day I asked him if he could ride it, and he barely ever rode it, so he was like, sure, whatever. So I took it for a spin in Central Park, and the rest is history. The rest you can see on Strava.
All right, nice. You got really into it, early 20s.
Yeah, around 15.
And did you start racing? Was that...
No.
Okay.
Again, cycling is a strange sport. And, this is sort of like, not pre-social media, but it was not at your fingertips.
Right.
Strava existed. Strava, I can't thank enough for its existence, because I think Strava really motivated me to ride.
Yeah.
Especially as someone growing up playing video games, and kind of like that element of like leveling up and tracking your performance and fitness.
I totally agree. Like I'm remembering when I started, which was like 12 years ago, which I think lines up pretty nicely when you got back into it. There was definitely the leaderboards, but I was also, I think, pretty intent on beating my segments.
Yeah.
So I was riding in Philly, like in the city when I first started.
Yep.
And there aren't that many options. Like, I kind of do my loop, and I'd always check to see if I beat the times on my segment.
Of course.
Yeah.
Strava definitely was a huge motivator. And just started riding trying to be consistent with it. I think that's a huge piece of importance is the consistency with cycling. And then I started racing around 2016 or 2017.
So it just took a few years.
Yeah.
I'm definitely excited to jump into the story of kind of
Let's do it.
your career and how it got you here to present day. I guess let's start sort of post-college career stuff and how that led you into the cycling business.
Yeah, I was living in New York, working in New York, kind of just odd jobs in film and TV mostly.
That's right, yeah.
And that kind of coincided with the start of my cycling, and I think a lot of people start riding and they just become absolutely obsessed and addicted to it. So I started working in some bike shops around the city.
Well, sorry, one thing we discussed was going to Syracuse to study film and having, I think expectations of what it could be like to go work in the industry.
Yeah, for sure.
And that falling short.
Yeah. So going to an art school, which is where I studied, and then kind of being whisked out into the world.
Into the real world.
It's a rude awakening. And
right.
I wasn't unhappy, but it's an absolute grind.
Yeah.
When you're studying for 4 years, kind of learning how to be an auteur.
Yeah.
And then you're
and then
bottom of the barrel. Yeah, I mean, it kind of opened up and I think a lot of people in their early 20s are unsure of, a lot of people...
Do you have no idea?
You have no sure of what you want to do with your life, which, is totally fine. There's so many possibilities out there, but yeah, I kind of cycling just took over. I got a job working at some local bike shops, which through that led to a position part-time at Rafa. And that was my first real job in the industry.
And you worked your way around Rafa, which I think was really, it sounds like pretty valuable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Experience.
I mean, the Rafa back in the day, quite different than what it is today. But in New York, at least, I was started part-time as a ride leader, which then led to some work on the floor, then a floor manager position, and then my final position was the RCC coordinator, so overseeing the Rafa Cycling Club New York chapter, which at the time was the second largest chapter. And yeah, I mean, getting to meet and ride with so many cyclists, both from New York and also traveling to New York from across the world.
And by the way, I think I shared this with you, but that is really the inspiration and motivation for this show. I've just met so many interesting people through the years in 3 different cities, on my bike. And it's just I get a kick out of it. It's one of the things I love about my life, my experience with a bike.
Yeah. And that experience led me to my business partner, Gil. That's how we met, because we started working together on a few different projects. And after, I think, a year or two, Gil approached me to join his consulting business, which at the time was picking up a lot of traction, and he was starting to get more and more clients, and very grateful that he approached me to join him, and I took a leap of faith. I didn't really intend on, I didn't envision that, but when the opportunity arose, I was I have to pursue this.
And you had shared with me,
really, by the way, totally not knowing what to expect. And I was way in over my head when I first started.
As one does when they're starting.
Be an entrepreneur and just go off on your own.
I was just going to say, you shared a great interview, a podcast that I listened to. It was the Cycling Culture Club interview with Gil Lavie, is how you pronounce it, right?
Gil Lavie.
Lavie, thank you. And it was a fantastic interview. Gil is Israeli and he's gay.
Yep.
And so he's got this pretty unique perspective on
absolutely
what it means to be a competitive cyclist.
Yep.
As a gay man and how he wants to represent himself and the brand within that community. So we can touch more on that, but I wanted to call that out because it was a great interview. This is one of my favorite parts of your guys' story because Can you share what Gil was up to as far as consulting and
Yeah.
the kind of like what? Yeah.
At the time, I am not aware of anybody in the US offering that kind of service, but he basically was offering 360-degree marketing consulting services to any cycling related business. At the time, he was working with some large scale cycling events, some retailers at a regional level, some more projects that were collaborations between global brands. So it was kind of the full range, if you will. And so he approached me to join in that, which I did towards the end of 2019. And yeah, super busy, just grinding as entrepreneurs do, 60, 80-hour work weeks, pretty much every day. 6 months in almost to the day, COVID hit, shut down New York City. That was kind of a...
In an experiential
crazy
marketing agency, that's an oh shit moment.
That happened. It was pretty wild. It was wild living in New York during that and riding around the streets that were just empty.
Right.
Mind-blowing. But through that, we kind of found more opportunities to take a step back and revisit what we kind of wanted to do and what the possibilities were. And we are truly, genuinely passionate about cycling. So we wanted to stay in cycling in some capacity, and just started reaching out to a few very niche independent brands and see like, hey, we're in New York. Let's try to find a path to work together. And that kind of is how Rubber and Road started. And also at the time, a lot of people were just getting into cycling for the first time in a very unconventional way. Like definitely not in the same way that probably you and I got involved in the sport. Maybe they would go for a jog or something and see people riding, or maybe they saw they were just sitting around at home. They saw some old race videos,
Yeah.
like who knows.
All of a sudden, people had a ton of time.
But it was the only activity that you could do outside.
Right.
Yeah, we wanted to find a way to bring global cycling culture to New York City in a way that had not been done before, which is kind of how Rubber and Road started.
Mm-hmm.
So we set up a website with some routes, and we really just wanted to build a resource for New York cyclists to kind of land on and show them, hey, like this is where you can ride around the city. These are the most popular road routes. These are some fun gravel routes. And yeah, just kind of started it as a resource for people.
And then paint the picture. I mean, what you described to me was really unique, like partnering with international brands.
Yeah.
And basically introducing them to American customers via New York City.
Yes.
Right. So can you share about kind of like, I thought that was fascinating, and can you share how it kind of played out?
Yeah, we found a few bike brands that were interested to work with us, a few apparel brands, and yeah, we started offering their products for same day delivery around New York City. We would literally ride our bikes around town and drop kit off to people who ordered it through the website.
Who were like, it was COVID, like people's spirits are down.
Yeah.
So you're like,
we would take selfies with people, put it on the Instagram story. It was like the only contact any of us had, and with other humans.
And for a brand new kit to show up at someone's doorstep while they're pent up and not interacting with other humans, it's like Christmas coming early, Hanukkah coming early.
Like literally, the first time that I dropped kit off, it was within 1 hour of them ordering it, and I got to their door masked up and knocked or called them, whatever. Took a few steps back, and they opened the door and they were like, "Wait, you're here?" And I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "This is insane." And that's when it also clicked for me. I was like, yeah, this is insane.
Right. And it's a good way to make a name for yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great time while it lasted. And eventually that led to us doing some pop-ups around town, around the city. And then we got our store in Hell's Kitchen.
And again, the concept was basically retail, e-commerce and retail
Yeah,
for brands that didn't have access to
exactly.
like
Yeah.
an American customer in a meaningful way, and
Yep.
you were providing that, and obviously giving the customers like really like fresh gear, apparel
Yep.
from all over the world.
Yep. Yeah, we were kind of boots on the ground for the brand side, for the customer side, just trying to support our community in being a truly authentic resource of like, we've been riding and racing here for years.
Well,
We've learned a lot. We've made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
This is kind of how you can start to navigate getting into this.
I think the reason I find this part of the story so interesting is New York is like one of the retail hubs of the country.
Yeah.
People go there just to shop. People go there to spend a lot of money shopping. So I don't think your concept, and it might not play out so well in other secondary, tertiary markets. Like it might be like a really novel, like New York centric idea that you guys had. Yeah.
I mean, New York is a hyper local city. It's one of the biggest cities in the world, obviously, one of the most populated cities, but it is hyper local. Like every neighborhood has its own flavor, and yeah, so it was great. I mean, at that time we had a lot of cyclists from the city, and yeah, as you mentioned, you have people visiting from all over the world. So.
Right. And then how is the apparel brand born out of that?
So over time, a lot of the brands we worked with were being bought out by various entities, be it private equities or investors, and the kind of relationship started to change quite a bit from what we set out to do and what we enjoyed doing.
And by the way, one thing that we glossed over is the business model. Like you guys were a storefront in New York City.
Yeah.
So that meant you could command a little bit more margin on the product you sold because it was seen as kind of somewhat of a marketing expense. It's like, you're a brand in Europe. You say, hey, we're in New York.
Yeah. At the time, we were really like curating the vision of cycling that we were interested in. Rubber and Road to this day is a deeply personal brand. It truly comes from our hearts. And so we wanted to just be authentic as we could and say, hey, these are the products that we're interested in, and this is what we admire, and we want to share this with the people around us. That's kind of how it started. Over time, we were not able to do that anymore. And so that's when Gil and I kind of like took a step back for, what is this, the second time?
Right.
In 2 years.
Man, all this happened quickly.
Yeah, it happened pretty quickly.
Right.
And say, hey, Gil studied at SVA, School of Visual Arts, has a design background, and I obviously, with my knowledge of kind of the apparel and riding and racing and knowing what I wanted out of the apparel and the garments, we said, why don't we start designing and producing our own apparel? And we really took it step by step. But I'm not sure if it would have been possible anywhere else besides New York City, because we had the garment district as a resource. I mean, it's one of the few places left in this country that still actually produces clothing. There's a handful of regions left that actually produce garments here. And, that was a mile down the street from our store.
Right.
So, we said, let's start using our riding experience as kind of a blueprint to dictate what type of apparel we want to produce. Gil, obviously, with his design and arts background and having that keen eye, we really wanted to design pieces that were evocative of New York City, inspired by the city, life there, the attitude, the grit, the competitiveness, the bold nature of New York. And yeah, he literally taught himself how to pattern make and sew and, like the entire process.
Amazing.
Which I greatly admire. I mean, the guy really dials in.
Hands-on.
Yeah, very hands-on. He really dials in. He truly takes the time. And that was not fast, and it wasn't easy, because it requires a great deal of skill and patience and trial and error, which again still continues with the brand to this day. We are obsessive over our garments.
Right. And I guess
sometimes for better or worse.
Right. Well, that's a good time to ask, like, how do you guys differentiate? I mean, I know you're really excited about your technology, the products.
Our approach, one of the cornerstone principles of our brand is to honor athletes. If you are going to dedicate yourself to this sport, which is not an easy sport, but if you're going to take the time and put in the work and sacrifice and take this sport on, and not necessarily to be competitive against other people, but just to push yourself to the limits, we admire that and we respect it. And we want to provide those athletes with the best possible tools to get the most out of their time on the bike. That's really, that's where we're coming from, and that's where we're approaching the garments. So I think the first bib short that we designed as an example, it's called the Prevail bib short. It's a cargo bib. That really spawned out of our summer solstice longest day rides, where we would ride from 5 a.m. until 8 p.m. at night, 200 miles, all different kinds of weather conditions, road, gravel, low visibility,
right,
bonking, riding hard, riding easy, all in one day.
Right.
And at the time, a lot of the kind of so-called gravel bibs that I could find felt very rigid and too robust, and I'm coming from a road background. So I wanted to wear a road bib short that had enough cargo space to, supply my nutrition needs through that
long day,
18-hour day or whatever it was. So that was okay, let's make a bib short for this. And that's the Prevail bib short. And then it just kind of snowballed from there.
By the way, you guys are a New York brand, and the products you make are made for the weather there. It's not always the best weather for riding bikes, right?
Yeah. New York is a great place to
test products.
Yeah. The weather is different every day. I was just riding with Doug from the Meteor.
Yeah.
It's 85 degrees here today.
Humid.
Pretty humid.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was in New York riding in 45-degree weather. 2 weeks ago in New York, it was 80-plus degrees and humid. The weather is, changing every single day. Within the day, it could be a 30-degree swing. Yeah, huge focus for us, in terms of the technical capabilities of the garments. Breathability is huge. Fit is something that is extremely complex, and it's really tedious work to get the fit right and the fit of how we want it to fit. And so, a lot of our products literally take years to prototype and then release.
You guys are known as a premium brand with premium pricing.
Yeah.
And some people have opinions about that.
Sure.
And I thought we had a good conversation about how you guys feel about your products.
Sure.
They're worth it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we're definitely focused on the highest possible quality of product. So we're literally scouring the world for the best fabrics out there, the most innovative fabrics from most respected fabric millers. Most of them are, to this day, family-owned and operated, multi-generational.
What countries do you source from?
We source from Italy, Switzerland, USA, Canada, and Japan for our fabrics. One of the, from the business side, we said this from the beginning, we do not want to be a brand that just prints jerseys and produces hundreds or thousands of units, and then we're stuck come fall or at the end of the season with so much product.
Yeah, and it's more of a design brand and less of a technology or less of an apparel brand.
Yeah.
Right.
But also from a sustainability perspective, we really try to limit the waste. We don't want to have products that are left over. And so we really try to produce the responsible amount. So therefore, that's more costly. Through our entire supply chain, and we work very closely with our entire supply chain, we want to pay those people what they deserve to make a living wage off of, be it either in New York City or in Europe. And so we are trying to support the entire ecosystem in that regard because it is truly skilled labor. These people spend years and years perfecting their craft, and it is a craft. It's very challenging to make this high quality product.
Yeah, and it's all hand sewn.
It's all done by hand.
That blew my mind when I learned like recently within the last 2 years that all
I mean,
these
you
products
can't. Maybe it exists. I don't know, but to my knowledge, you can't. So with a robot,
right?
I don't know if that exists yet. If it does,
yeah,
we don't operate like that.
Right.
That kind of goes back to one of our original philosophies of wanting to partner and collaborate with other entrepreneurs. And, our supply chain now definitely embodies that spirit. They're family-owned businesses. They've been doing this for decades, and they deserve to be paid an honest living wage,
right,
and be able to support their families and their communities. And so, yes, that's one part of it. Limiting the overproduction and the waste, it definitely factors into the price. And also, just the cost of doing business now. I think a lot of people may not fully appreciate, just how much
it costs.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
Totally.
From shipping costs to rent to using the highest possible quality materials and really taking the time through quality control. All of this factors into the product. And I will say, our brand is open to everyone. But it's really catered towards people who absolutely are obsessed with quality and performance and design and want the most out of their time on the bike.
I think the other interesting dynamic is, if that's not for you, if you're a consumer that doesn't want to pay for the bib, that's okay. But you guys are in New York City, and you mentioned there are stores down the block like Prada and Gucci, and everyone knows all, and it's the same customer.
Yeah.
So there are folks that can afford it, and right.
Yeah, those are our neighbors. I love New York City. That's my home, but
right.
it is.
It's
an expensive place.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, at the end of the day, as I said, we're just trying to honor athletes and support them in the best way that we can. And I will say, on the other side of it, I think cycling is more accessible now than ever before. If you simply just want to get a bike and start riding, which I encourage anybody and everybody to do, it's possible. You can. It's feasible. I mean, obviously the sport is pretty expensive to get into, but a lot of things are.
Yeah.
If you want to be a musician and you want to kind of,
work on your craft and leveling up,
it takes sacrifice.
Yeah, and then the other important point is you get what you pay for a lot of the time. So if you get a rubber and road bib, the quality, the expectation is that it's going to last for a while. It's going to last longer than a bib that costs half as much.
Yeah, and we're not. The business is all us. So it's stemming from two people that are just obsessively focused with making the best possible product.
Yeah.
That we possibly can.
So, obviously you're here in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
We're going to do a ride Sunday. You're going to join Breakfast Club tomorrow. We're going to do a ride Sunday. You're going to represent. How are you guys thinking about expanding into a market like Austin?
I'll be honest, like, we don't really sit around
Think about
think about this.
right. This is coming from experiential marketers. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I know. I mean, now we kind of let things happen naturally, which more often than not, those are the relationships that work out in the long run. I have admired Doug Zell for a long time.
What's the story with that?
Yeah, he's a great guy, super nice guy, great cyclist. He's an amazing entrepreneur, obviously founded Intelligentsia Coffee.
And did you know him as Intelligentsia founder? Or?
I think maybe we like rubbed shoulders at some point, but 2.5 years ago, he walked into our store out of the blue. And I was like, Doug Zell.
Doug, leaves an impression, I think, right?
Yeah.
He's a memorable guy.
Came in with some hot sauce.
Awesome. Bearing gifts.
Yeah, I was like, what brings you to town? He's like, a hot sauce convention.
Of course.
Like,
as one does.
That.
As one does.
I respect that.
Yeah.
That's kind of also one of the funny things about being entrepreneurs is that you kind of never know how long things will take or if they will materialize. And, being from New York, it definitely taught me to deal with kind of the grit and the consistency and just keep chipping away at it.
Yeah.
And this, I think, this experience and this partnership that we have now in Austin is a great example of how,
Can you share about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Doug Zell came into our store 2.5 years ago with his hot sauce, and he told us about the Meteor, and we were like, that all sounds amazing. And maybe, I don't know how many months ago, but reached out to us again out of the blue and was just like, yeah, I think I saw your kit somewhere on the road and looks great. And this is what's happening at the Meteor. And maybe there's some ways that we can work together.
By the way, I had, like I mentioned, Doug on the podcast, and we had this amazing, and I didn't know him as well at that time. We had this amazing conversation about aesthetics.
Yeah.
And he really gives a shit.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So
he's really tapped in.
So for him to, to really appreciate what you guys are doing. And
I mean, I'm super grateful for that. I know Gil is as well. Anytime we can see an athlete that we admire in our kit, that's why we wake up in the morning, because we know that, or we hope that they're having the best possible experience on the bike.
Cool.
That they can have. And so, yeah, super grateful that Doug reached out, and yeah, we started chatting, and the more we spoke, kind of like the more the friendship grew. And yeah, I just have a lot of admiration and respect for Doug and the whole team down here. I mean, the Meteor is very impressive.
Yeah.
If anyone's in Austin, definitely check it out.
It's a proper clubhouse, skate shop, barbershop vibe.
Very legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just super thrilled to be down here, enjoying the weekend.
Yeah.
First time in Texas. Always wanted to visit Austin, but now really grateful for the opportunity. Also, I don't want to sound cheesy, and I really dislike all the cycling cliches because I think I've just been around long enough to hear most of them over and over and over, but it truly is one of the most beautiful things about cycling. One of the reasons that I love this sport the most is that you can pretty much at this point go to any major city, certainly in the US, but in a lot of cities around the world, and you can find people that are absolutely obsessed with this crazy sport, just like we are. And you don't need to even say a word, and you'll already have that connection. That, for me, is probably my favorite thing about, being the co-founder of our brand and being fortunate enough to travel and meet people and ride with communities from all over the world is
it's like a dream.
It's yeah, absolutely. It's like a dream. And, it's just incredible to travel to the other side of the world. And, they're so excited to be just...
You guys are on the same page.
Yeah,
right?
we're on the same page.
Right.
And that's very poignant as a New Yorker as well, because you have people moving to New York from all over the world. You know, they're sacrificing wherever they came from. They're leaving their family. They're, you know.
By the way, I have a friend to connect you with who just moved from Austin to New York City.
Oh, I thought it was always the other way around.
No, he's flipped it. Vincent Amand, I'll put you guys in touch.
Please do.
Yeah.
Vincent, we're gonna go ride.
Yeah.
Next week.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, you know, New York is the only place I've been, I think, where I've stood in a room with 10 people, all from a different country.
Right.
And just like vibing, having a good time, enjoying cycling together.
Right.
And yeah, as I said, I've truly been fortunate to travel to a lot of different places and ride in a lot of different countries. And New York definitely has its downsides in terms of cycling.
Yeah.
We don't have the most scenic roads in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, New York we are blessed with such a vibrant cycling community. You have,
and the diversity.
yeah, you just have such an amazing diversity and people from all walks of life. And yeah, just to be able to share that on the bike it's really special. And everybody kind of brings their own flavor and energy, and we're also very competitive sometimes to our
So I was
disadvantage,
listening
but
to the interview with Gil, and he's talking about you, and he's like, yeah, you know, he's the guy that's really testing the product. You know, he's winning races or coming in second. So are you winning some races and coming? What's the...
This year I came in 5th like 10 times.
Okay. Well, that and like,
that was like,
are we talking crit racing or?
In New York, we have a very vibrant racing scene, which is amazing. I think we have like maybe around like 300 to 400 active racers in New York City. We have an incredible group of people that really dedicate their time to promoting and organizing these races, which is not easy to do in
New York
like
City.
New York's bureaucracy and getting permits. And they're certainly not making a killing at the bank by running bike races.
No.
But they absolutely love it, and they do a great job, and it's hard, thankless work. But yeah, we have I think 50 to 60 races in New York and kind of that surrounding area, and
So cool.
more regionally. So if you want to race a bike, New York is a pretty good place to do it.
You got to wake up early.
You got to wake up super early.
Right.
Yeah, but we don't sleep anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Of course not.
Yeah, it's just an incredible community there.
And on that topic of giving back, you mentioned you wanted to talk about some of the charitable causes.
Yeah, there's a few charities that we are really thankful to work with and support locally and also globally. But locally, shout out to Star Track NYC, great charity. They basically provide young people, kids with the tools to take up track cycling and racing.
And where's there a track in New York?
Casena.
Okay.
Casena Velodrome in Queens.
In Queens, okay.
So Star Track.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Star Track has been around for a while. They do an incredible work, giving kids the resources and kind of the mentorship to take up track racing and cycling and provide them with a pathway to, the highest level of the sport at the Olympics.
As we look at some of the successful British cyclists, they came up on the track.
Yeah.
Right? Bradley Wiggins.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So Star Track does amazing work. We also work with Cycle Kids, which is a charity that gives bikes to kids in underserved communities and teaches them how to ride. So kind of through after school programs. And we also work pretty closely with Best Buddies, which is a global organization. Best Buddies supports individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, promoting inclusion. They provide job training, career placement, housing, family support in, I think, 100 countries. So it's a big organization.
They actually popped up recently on my LinkedIn. I saw it was the first time I saw one of their rides organized.
Yeah, so they, as a fundraising tool, host incredible group rides, Boston, Miami, Palo Alto, I think Malibu, and then they have some training camps. 2 weeks ago, they just did their first ride in New York, which had, I think, 400 or 500 people.
Cool.
All of the proceeds go towards the programs of supporting those individuals.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and the individuals that Best Buddies supports, like, some of their stories and journeys are just like mind-blowing and super inspiring to hear. So we're really thankful to partner with them and support them. Yeah, all through the bike.
Cool.
It's magic.
So last question on Rubber and Road. I mean, you mentioned how some other apparel brands that we will not name have taken private equity investments. Some of them are doing well, some of them probably not so well. You guys, I think you and Gil are both 100% owners, or
yeah,
self-funded.
Yeah, we don't have any. There's no corporation,
right? Yeah,
behind us.
I think you mentioned that's the plan for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, this is our life, this is our passion, this is why we wake up every day. We're obsessed with it. We're obsessed with riding and training and suffering and...
Sorry, just to frame the question, like, without sort of an investor to, give you guys the capital that can fund, XYZ growth, whatever that means, like, what are some of your goals and objectives for growth? Like, how do you guys kind of win doing what you're doing the way you're doing it?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be sustainable and it has to be responsible. I think that's kind of, I guess you could say, one of the critiques about our industry and our sport. The sport it's niche. We want to find athletes that will appreciate our work and be able to provide them with the tools they need to push their potential. And yeah, just continuing to build personal relationships like we have with somebody like Doug here in Austin, and just build those connections organically where we see fit. Or where it's possible to do so.
I think really there's a lot to what you shared earlier about the organic relationships being the really valuable, meaningful ones, as opposed to capital forcing you to do.
That's at the heart of it all,
right?
And it hasn't been smooth sailing. We've made a lot of mistakes. We'll continue to make mistakes. We're human beings. We try to correct those when possible, and just keep pushing forward with, from our side, continuing to just do everything from the heart. That's where we're coming from, because we love the bike, and we love being part of the cycling community in New York and abroad. And
those are great reasons. That's that's awesome.
So that's where we're coming from.
Yeah. In my notes, I called this question segment like the reflection segment. Gil, it was amazing to hear him share some of his experience. It was heartbreaking. He was outed as a gay teenager by one of his, air quote friends. And, he brings being an Israeli foreigner to the brand, so Jewish and kind of gay owned brand. How have you experienced that as part of this journey with entrepreneurship?
I think being in New York is a huge part of it, kind of putting differences aside and definitely not neglecting, embracing our differences. But, in New York, everybody has to have respect for each other.
Or else it wouldn't work.
Gil and I are from completely different backgrounds. He's gay, I'm straight. He's from Israel, I'm American. He immigrated to New York. I was born there. And at the end of the day, we're brothers now. We're best friends. And that happened through the bike. And we didn't set out to be it wasn't really a discussion of, do we want to build a brand based on this? It's a part of who we are as people. And, Gil does a lot to bring awareness to it. I think cycling as a sport still has an immense amount of work to do in terms of representation and inclusivity. I don't have the exact figures, so don't beat me up, but I think there's like 900, 8 or 900 riders in the UCI World Tour. Not one is openly gay, which statistically is not possible. I think that, yeah, the sport definitely.
That is wild.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's something crazy like that. I don't know if that's the exact figure, but
When you extrapolate it to other American sports, it tracks though. It's
Yeah.
like how many openly gay,
yeah,
football players, basketball players, but
exactly.
Right.
Gil does a lot of work with, he supports the Trevor Project, which is a great organization. But yeah, I think especially in this day and age, we need to do more to come together and appreciate each other's differences and embrace them. And that's kind of the spirit of New York City, because we're better together,
Yeah.
It's not to sound corny and cliche, but that's
no, you guys live it every day.
Yeah, that's been our life experience. So
Right.
yeah, that's again, we don't kind of like put that up on a poster board, but
And he talked about that, which I thought was such a great insight. He was like, we're not going to put it on a t-shirt and sell it.
Yeah.
Like that's, what do you call it? Brand washing. Or he's like, you got to lead by example,
Yeah.
and it was interesting because it's like, would I choose to ride with like a gay Peloton? He's like, no, I'm just riding with other people that like to ride just like I do, and
again, that goes back to the athlete and honoring the athlete. Like we could care less about like where you're from or what you're into or whatever, like if you're gonna spend your time doing this incredibly difficult thing,
respect.
you're with us.
Yeah.
Respect. Like, and you deserve a place in this sport and in this community. So
Right.
yeah, that's where we're coming from. As you very nicely worded it. Yeah, we're not gonna put it on a t-shirt or anything, but that's just a part of who we are.
So I have a couple more questions just as far as wrapping up. I can tell from our conversations that entrepreneurship, it's been really difficult.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that challenge, that struggle, the trials and tribulations of entrepreneurship, and how you felt those? In
a sense, I mean, it's been the hardest thing that I've ever endured in my life, is just kind of like the daily grind and the sacrifices that it takes to be an entrepreneur. I think being a cyclist gave me the tools to do it. I've been out there on a solo bike packing trip in the middle of the woods, just absolutely dying and bonking. And, those experiences kind of ingrained it in my head that like, okay, if I can handle this, I can handle.
Is that something you like really think about?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's part of the reason why I continue to push my own limits on the bike, is because I want to see how far I can take it. And those experiences on the bike definitely help me in the workplace as well. But yeah, entrepreneurship, it takes a lot of grit. It takes, there's definitely times of doubt. I don't think you're human if like you're not doubting it, but you just got to keep pushing. You'll hear no a lot, and
you get used to it.
You get used to that. All
Yeah.
it takes is one yes,
Right.
and it's gonna come eventually. So, and as I said before, I have made a lot of mistakes, and I have tried to own up to those and apologize where it was necessary. And we're all human. I think that's true with everybody. But you just got to keep pushing.
Yeah.
And
give yourself some grace too, right?
Yeah, try to give yourself some grace. I mean, I don't really I don't think about that like in my head, but I'm like, okay, that was, maybe I didn't handle that the best, or I didn't communicate something in the best way that I could, but for next time I have that experience now, and yeah, that all comes with it, and the roller coaster of emotions, and like the highs are high and the lows are low. That's just That's just part of it. But yeah, cycling has that crazy way of kind of like pulling you back into it. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a great parallel with entrepreneurship. It's like a little addicted to the crazy.
Yeah,
Right?
for sure. And it's tough in New York. I mean, it's not an easy place to live. I say this all the time. Like, it's just not an easy place to be.
Yeah.
It's loud, it's fast,
Yeah.
and that's our brand. Like,
Right.
we're bold, we're in your face. We like speed, we want to win, we're competitive. That's what we're about. So
Nice. That's a great sort of tagline to end on.
yeah. And I would say, like, yeah, truly rewarding is just seeing athletes in the garments that we are so painstakingly trying to craft and design, and keep pushing that boulder up the mountain. That's what it's all about for us, is just seeing people we admire or people that appreciate what we do. That's why we wake up in the morning every day. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, we'll do some riding on Sunday. If not tomorrow, then on Sunday.
Yeah.
Looking
Well,
forward to it.
hopefully we can fit the breakfast club in tomorrow. I know there's some.
Yeah, there's a little rain threatening, but
I'll ride.
okay.
I'll be out there. And then Sunday doing a group ride with Meteor. Super excited for that. Doug already punished me on the hills here in Austin. Great riding here.
Yeah.
Super punchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks so much for having me.
Dude, what a pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, cheers.
All right, cheers. Got our saps. All right, man.